Are you struggling to overcome powerful negative emotions that drive you to lash out, go into hiding, or plan your revenge? Most people have insecurities that are triggered whenever your family is in some type of conflict. So, in today's session, we're going to discuss how treating your family like a small business leads to more meaningful connection and safeguards your family from a corporate failure. Are you ready to stop fighting and start loving again? What if I told you that the key to healing your broken relationship can be found at the intersection of law and love? I'm Judge Shar, founder of Law for Love, and I restore justice to broken relationships through contract building, restructuring, and legal consulting that helps you convert conflict into connection that transforms your family, your community, and the world. Hey, what's the good word? Here tonight to have a discussion that it can leave you with some mixed emotions. But you know what? Let's talk about it. Feelings are bad for business. Why are they bad for business? One of the things that really inspired this conversation in today's session is a meeting that I actually had with a client. A client went through an extremely painful, very expensive, one of those six-figure divorces in terms of expense, right? And really, really appreciated this conversation about the business of marriage. And it's incredible that oftentimes people who have not been through the pain of a corporate failure or what I call a divorce, people who have not been through that pain don't fully appreciate how powerful this insight is. And people who have been through the pain of a divorce can really, really resonate with this conversation. So, this is more of a lessons learned. If you have not been through a divorce, if you don't understand the pain that resonates with people who can really, really relate with why you want to treat your marriage as a business, then this is a great time to turn your marriage around, turn your family around. It. We're not just talking about marriages tonight, we're talking about the whole family. And to get yourself on a course for success. So, what emotions bring to the table, what your feelings bring to the table, because we all have them. Oftentimes here at work, I sing emotions make you cry sometimes. Like emotions are what they are. We all have them. We all experience them. We all have different ways of venting them, and they make a bad situation worse because every single relationship will be tested by conflict. There's going to not be a time that a relationship will not be tested by conflict. What makes the difference in whether or not that conflict causes you to grow closer or whether it causes you to grow apart, 99% of the time, the input that makes the difference is how you respond emotionally. Pride is at the root of most emotional reactivity. You're not going to make a fool out of me. You're not going to make me look weak. I'm not going to be treated like a simp. I don't need you. I'll leave you before you leave me. These are all rooted in pride. So when we're responding in the midst of a conflict out of a place of pride and venting that pride through our emotions, it is making stuff worse. So the business consideration that I just want to encourage you with is that a clear vision provides the focal point that's bigger than your feelings at any given point in time. Businesses are a great example of how to navigate your family. According to the scriptures, where there is no vision, The people cast off restraint. What does that mean? Well, you know what? If I'm only living for today because I can't see what tomorrow's supposed to be, I don't care. YOLO. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like I have nothing to lose because there is no clear vision that is keeping my feelings in check. The opposite is this. If I understand that our vision as a family is that we leave a legacy of intact marriages that model for our children what true partnership and connection look like, what cooperation between a man and his wife looks like, then when we have our differences, when you hurt my feelings, I have to put my feelings on the back burner to the vision that we have agreed to concerning the future generations that we are modeling out our marriage for. Um, your feelings are vulnerable to confirmation bias. This is the next reason why treating your family, again, not just your marriage, but your family, as a small business, it protects you from the fallout that happens because we all have some form of confirmation bias. And your feelings, those are your little antennas to prove you right. Again, I often refer to the peanut butter brain understanding that I came to recognize with my grandmother. My grandmother was losing her memory. My grandmother was trying to make sense of life when she could not find the peanut butter. And her mind wasn't telling her, oh, you just forgot where you put it. You're losing your memory. No, her mind told her that my cousin broke in and stole the peanut butter. Her mind had to find an answer. And your feelings are often a result of the answer that your mind is searching for because you already have some type of confirmation bias. And this bias is rooted in fear. The scripture says that perfect love casts out fear. And your feelings are more often than not an expression in conflict. Your feelings are most often rooted in some type of internal conflict that somebody else triggered. So when I'm talking about husbands and wives, and I'm talking about, oh, well, he made me feel, or she made me mad. Wait. Did she? Did he? Or was something in you that's afraid? Something in you where you felt vulnerable? Something in you that you are guilty or ashamed of was triggered? And a lot of times it's rooted in fear. And our focus on dealing with the fear that we don't often talk about out loud, that we don't often admit to other people, the fear that's like lurking behind every offensive statement that somebody makes to us, that is the real challenge. So when conflict is arising between people, either one or both people, this is an opportunity to do a self-reflection. We too often are looking at what other person did to explain the way that we feel. When you did this, it made me feel this way. This is a common couples therapy communication style. When you did blank, it made me feel blank, right? But the missing piece to that in terms of confronting the fear begins with first asking yourself a question. Hey, am I acting out of a place where I'm compensating or seeking to protect myself from something that I'm feeling insecure about in this moment? Before you frame that question, that response to your loved one, your spouse or your children or your parents, your siblings, before you say that to them, do a self-check first. And this is the business consideration, which is the SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis, SWOT simply stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is a mechanism used in businesses to analyze where the company is and where the company is going. And it gives you a 360-degree look at yourself, not only focusing on what's weak, not only focusing on what's strong, not only focusing on what you can gain, and not only focusing on what you can lose, but looking at all of them in a balanced analysis. This transferring a SWOT analysis is actually interdisciplinary. Many years ago, I began training other lawyers how to use this very same structure to navigate clients through various aspects of their case. Because one thing that any lawyer will tell you, there's no such thing as a case with 100% sexy facts. Every case has some facts that are not sexy, and that's what we call weaknesses, right? And being able to have that honest conversation with yourself here in doing a family SWOT analysis, it helps you put your feelings in check. It helps you look at your feelings separate from the facts by asking the following questions. What strengths does my partner or my other family members have that can actually help in this situation? Like, they have strengths that I may not have, right? And taking a look at the strengths that your family has is a great way to take a second look at the conflict to try and figure out whether or not you are acting out of your feelings because you're actually feeling insecure. You're actually afraid of a weakness. And when you're looking at the weakness quadrant of your SWOT analysis, ask yourself, what insecurities do I have that I am afraid of being exposed by this conflict? Now, maybe you may not discover anything there, but it's a great question to ask so that you can always develop a self-awareness that you could be acting out of an insecurity and out of a fear that's actually driving the conflict. Asking yourself that question. So, just a quick example of strengths and weaknesses and kind of how I do the SWOT analysis. For many, many years, my husband would get a read on people, right? And he would be like, no, I don't trust them. Like, I'm like the person who I'm like, just open my arms, hug everybody, welcome you in, love on you. Like, we're all friends. And my husband, he no. he meets you and he's like, I don't know about that person. Like, instantly, I don't know about that person. And so I used to get so angry when he would do that. And I would literally like attack him like as not being a friendly person. And I would be mean about it because I didn't like how he would express so matter of factly something that he didn't like about a person. Well, we've been married 16 years this year. A year came by where there was this person who I was doing business with that my husband had expressed like, I don't know about him. Right. And I was like, you just don't want me to, you just don't want me to be great. Like that was the conversation I was having with myself. You just don't want me to be great. And I would go on to handle this particular case with this gentleman. And it was some nonsense that popped off in conducting the business. I came to find out about this individual that he was sloppy about handling his business. He was slow getting me paid. And it was just like extremely frustrating. And then he didn't take ownership for how he handled his business or failed to handle his business. And I had to make the decision, after that one bad experience, like, okay, I'm never doing business with this guy again, because I kind of thought he had it together better than what he actually did. So I came back to my husband. I was like, remember what you said about so-and-so? He was like, yeah, why? I said, well, come to find out you were right. Here's what happened. Here was the situation, blah, blah, blah. And so thank goodness my husband did not respond, I told you, because some people, they rub it in and they make you feel bad. Like, I ain't gonna never tell you were right again. No, he didn't handle it like that. But he did appreciate that I come back and I acknowledged to him that his initial discernment of this person's character was correct. And ever since that time, and this was several years ago, y'all, ever since that time, when my husband says something to me about a person's character that he picks up on, because I recognize that I'm too trusting, I'm too gummy berry, I'm too happy-go-lucky to see the best in people and not see a balance of the character issues that people may be bringing into my world. I now trust my husband when he has a read on people like, look, I don't know about this person, and here's why. Or sometimes he'll just say, well, I don't know about that person. And I've learned to trust that because his discernment of character is his strength. It is something that like that's his strength. So recognizing where your partner might be stronger in a place that you don't necessarily have certain kind of strengths, this doesn't make you weak, or this isn't something to be embarrassed of. This is a complementary kind of thing, right? Because now we balance my friendly happy-go-luckiness with his cautious discernment, and I'm slower in developing close connections and just opening up my whole heart to people because we balance each other out in that area. I hope that makes sense. Opportunities. How can this conflict enhance our relationship in this family? How can this make us closer? And how can this make me closer with not only my family, but also with my creator? Every conflict presents an opportunity for you to grow deeper in your faith, for you to grow closer to your creator, for you to develop more of what we call the mind of Christ or the mind of Messiah, which is love in truth. And love in truth is always an opportunity for intimacy. The issue that happens in conflict is that family doesn't always like telling the truth. Family doesn't always like being confronted with truth. Family sometimes wants you to tell them what's going to make them feel good, or want it said in a certain way because maybe if you say it a certain way, it could be received better. But at the end of the day, the truth is that the truth hurts. Even if I say it to you with a flower or a bag of gummy bears, it's still going to cut your pride. It's still going to confront you with something about yourself that you may need to make a decision about. Hey, is this something that's a flaw in my character that I can work on so that I can be closer to the Most High? Is this an area that's revealing pride or selfishness in my life? Can I exercise more humility in this area of my life? These are always opportunities for intimacy because humility is connective tissue in relationship. Exercising humility. And what's the biggest one in relationships? All relationships. Hey, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I was wrong. I'm sorry. It will never cease to amaze me why the simple statement of an apology is like pulling teeth from some people. When so many fights can de-escalate, so many fights can be over in less than 5 minutes if someone will swallow their pride and ask for forgiveness. Just say I'm sorry. Just say I was wrong. But what we do instead, we kind of lock down on our position, and this is the threat, right? How will my fear make the situation worse if I do not overcome what I'm really afraid of? So now I'm gonna use pride to protect myself from you because see, I can't look weak to you. I can't let you take advantage of me. I can't let you make a sucker out of me, right? So now I'm gonna lean into pride even more. And now what could have been a conflict that we resolved in 5 minutes, it becomes we don't talk to each other for the next week, or we don't talk to each other for the next month, or we just cut each other off. That is a threat. And almost always you will find pride and selfishness at the root of threats. And when you look at it, it's showing up to protect something that we're afraid of, but we don't want to open up about. So here's where we're going to talk about the board. Because the board is a necessary element for guiding the direction of your small business, your company, right? It can't always just be you and how you're feeling in the moment. And it can't always be directed just by the money, right? And unfortunately, too many families wait until there's like a crisis, like somebody ready to catch a case, somebody's ready to just throw in the towel, somebody's already left before. Who's the 911 in most family situations? The 911 is the marriage therapist, the marriage counselor, or the pastor. We need help, and we need help right now. Like, look, you coming in dead on arrival. And having a board in place prevents your family, your relationship from deteriorating to the point where you have to live off of 911. Like, it reminds me of how many years, like before the Obamacare Act went through, how one of the talking points was about the cost of the American medical system that's driven by people who rely on emergency rooms for care rather than seeking primary care or obtaining primary care. And this is part of what's given rise to so many urgent care center type things, like this in between, less expensive point between the primary care physician that many uninsured people don't have and the emergency room, which is beyond expensive, right? So the board is more of the primary care center for the small business of your family so that you are not getting your care from the emergency room. The only care you're getting is at the emergency room. And your board should consist of a therapist or a licensed counselor, someone who is trained to identify clinical issues that might be driving the crazy in your relationship. And I don't say that disrespectfully, because many people suffer with clinical issues. For me, that big aha moment in my therapeutic journey was when I was driving myself to go to work to cope with the death of my mom, the death of my brother, 9 months apart. I was drowning myself in work. I was going and going and going, and I wasn't recognizing the drain in my spirit, the drain in my mental bandwidth, the drain in my emotional bandwidth that was continuing to exacerbate my broken heart. And it was my therapist, old school Jamaican lady. She sat me down and she told me, I am placing you on an immediate 60-day leave of absence. And that was Wednesday. And I said to the lady, I said, wait, can you make it start on Friday? I was so locked in on working to like forget about my pain, while just focusing on everybody else's problems so that I didn't have to see my own or feel my own. That therapist looked at me, she said, I can't promise you that unless you promise me you won't cuss out your clients. And even with the therapist putting me on leave, I'm sitting up there buying myself another 2 days of work, and she's recognizing that I am in debilitating depression that could cost me my license if I cuss my clients out. Like, your therapist is trained to pick up on the clinical issues and to give you a treatment plan to help you navigate clinical issues. There's also the power of your small group or your community. Too many people are out here doing family in isolation, and small group is such a powerful place where people find healing, connection, acceptance. This is an important part of your board of trustees, your personal board. This is a part of your primary care for taking care of the emotional side of your business, because too many of us feel like, okay, well, since it's my family, I have license to just vent my emotion whenever I'm experiencing emotion. But you will go into a workplace, you will go into the business world and into the marketplace, and those same feelings that you experience at home and you vent and you vomit on everybody at home, you exercise restraint and control at work. Make that make sense? Why can't we exercise the same discipline and the same respect for home, even more so than we do in the private world, in the marketplace, in your workplace? So the small group, again, is a part of that primary care from your board, your personal board of trustees, to keep you in a place of emotional stability and soundness and self-awareness, so that you're not blowing up when conflict happens, because it's going to happen. And the third piece of your board of trustees is the life coach. Your life coach is different than your therapist from the standpoint of looking at the goals that you are setting for your life based on different places where you are placing your intentionality and your focus for growth. So it may not even be about your mental health. It may be about your profession. It might be about being a better parent. It might be about showing up as more intentional in your marriage. The life coach It's more about doing life and having that accountability based on the goals that you set out for yourself. So this is your personal board of trustees for the small business of your family. And it's so important here that you want to have board members who share your faith and your values. I've heard horror stories of people who have gone to therapists or coaches whose values are not exactly misaligned. I mean, that are misaligned with their own. And then they end up getting advice or counsel that doesn't really help their situation because there's a value mismatch. So when you're looking for these trustees to support you on the emotional side of your small business, your family, then having shared values is super duper important so that you are remaining consistent in your walk and your faith, and then only going after the things that you truly believe in the deepest core of your being. There's also the quality of having a demonstrated success from where you are to where you want to be. I'm reminded of a conversation I once had with a girlfriend who she went to go see a nutritionist. She was referred to see a nutritionist. And when the nutritionist came into her, the visitation room where she, at the doctor's office, my friend noticed that the nutritionist was morbidly obese. So my friend said to the nutritionist, she was like, "You're the nutritionist?" And the nutritionist says, "Yes." My friend told that nutritionist, "I'm not going to listen to anything you say because I'm looking at you and you don't look like you follow your own training." Like it's like the cardiologist who's a smoker. It's like whoever you're putting on your board, does this person have demonstrated that, have you been where I am and have you gone to where I'm trying to go? Don't come up in here as my nutritionist and you're spilling out of your clothes and you obviously don't practice fasting. I'm not listening to anything you say. And that's exactly what my girlfriend was she was cold. She she told the nutritionist, "No, thank you." But this is important because your trustee is someone who has integrity. And so when you've been where I am and you've gone where I want to go, then your journey is evidence, right? Evidence of your integrity, that you're not just telling me to do something you're not willing to do. Because then I'm going to lose respect for you if you're giving me advice that you're not even willing to follow. And your trustee qualities also, they demonstrate their willingness to be coached themselves. Your trustees should not be people who are, they are the source of the highest knowledge. They should be people who are also in coaching relationships with peers or other mentors. They should be people who are willing to get checked on their own stuff. Again, demonstrating their expertise or their qualification to advise you based on their own lifestyle, based on what they practice. Do you live the life that you're advising, or are you just sitting up here giving me textbook stuff? Have you actually walked a mile in my shoes? Do you actually practice the things you're advising me? These are qualities of good board members. So that's what I have for you, based on really growing tired of seeing so many people suffering in situations where there's this emotional turmoil constantly, and the family is a business. We practice emotional restraint in business. We practice setting vision in business. We look ahead in business, but we don't give our families the same respect and dignity. And again, we think we have license to just expect for our feelings to always be pleased or someone's always playing to your moods or responding to every tear you cry or jumping every time you scream or raise your voice. But respecting your family just like you would your own business, it does wonders to change the environment of your house, particularly when you are in disagreement, because it's going to happen. But when you're looking at the fact that this is just today, I'm not going to make a permanent decision based on the temporary feeling. I'm not going to go ahead and just decide that, okay, I'm going to throw my family away today because I'm mad right now. You wouldn't do that in your business. So let's treat our families with the same exact dignity, respect, and consideration when it comes to recognizing that romance is a risk. And our job in small business is to recognize and mitigate our risk. Recognize the risk in the market and protect your business from the risks that are in the market. Romance is the biggest risk. Romance is make believe. You are not always going to be feeling good, happy, and skipping through the field of flowers, holding hands, smiling. Too many people are out here faking it on social media with their pictures. They're taking selfies like they're the perfect couple and the house is tore up. How do I know? Because they're the ones that call me in the background talking about, hey, I just want to know my options for divorce. Treating it like a business will guarantee to keep you more grounded in your emotions and more self-aware of how your choices are going to impact the vision that you have set for your business, your family business, where you're going as a business, the legacy your business is leaving in the earth. And then you literally grow closer as a result, because now you are proving to your family, no matter what happens, we're going to make the right choice for our family. Even though we have little hiccups, even though we have little bumps in the road, even though there's market volatility, we're continuing to press on out of our love, not just emotional love, but loyalty and commitment love. Because nobody goes into business saying, oh, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start planning my bankruptcy just in case my business plan don't work. No, you pivot, you pull it together, you put your feelings in check, you go back to the drawing board, and you have a team meeting, and you make some things make sense. This is how we protect our families from corporate failures. I hope that this blesses and encourages you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Always remember this: the destination is love, and the journey is love. And it is love that conquers all fear and transforms our world. Hey, if you were blessed by this content, please like it, share it, and subscribe. Follow us on social media at Law for Love ATL. And we bless you and thank you for all of your support.